singing holy, holy Yahweh Almighty. We're singing holy.
Almighty Yahweh promises to gather everyone He gathers. And I am a Hebrew. We are Hebrew.
I am a Hebrew, and I was born in North Carolina.
I am a Hebrew, and I was born in Tennessee.
I am a Hebrew, born in Arkansas.
I am a Hebrew. I was born in Texas.
I am a Hebrew, and I am from Florida.
I'm a Hebrew, and I was born in California.
I am a Hebrew, and I was born in San Diego, California.
I'm a Hebrew. I was born in Indiana.
I am a chosen generation, a royal priesthood. I am a Hebrew, and I was born in Spain.
私はヘブルです。日本で生まれました。Soy hebrea. Nací en Puerto Rico.
I am a Hebrew from West Africa, Liberia.
I am a Hebrew, and I was born in Straitway.
We are Hebrew.
Oh, well, my sister.
Shalom, shalom, and greetings. Hallelujah. From the Straitway Truth Ministries right here in Tennessee, I am Sister Ashley, your host of tonight's show. I hope you hear me loud and clear. Blessings to all of you who are listening and always giving us your time. Tonight's show should touch you to the heart. Let's jump to Georgia. Sister Jennifer, let's hear from you.
Shalom, shalom, daughters of Zion. Blessings once again. Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Sister to Sister. I pray that you can all hear me. We have a rainstorm going on here, so I pray that there's no interference from that. Please put your sound checks in the chat room so we can make the proper adjustment.
Hallelujah. Let's acknowledge first and foremost the Father who allows us to come together and even use this avenue to bring us all together into unity, to listen, to hear what His Spirit may minister to us. giving him all the praise for opening up this night and giving us the opportunity through the leadership here to have the microphones and to even be able to take the phone calls and use this as a way for you all to peer into our lives and see what the fruit is producing in this ministry. I thank you, Father. I praise him for right now, specifically South Carolina and what they have going on. I really greatly appreciated Elder Austin's video. Any work, Sister Sierra, that you may have done to that video, blessings to you. It was very beautiful, very well done. Tears in my eyes, many of them actually crying. Can't say tears in my eyes. I was crying with that video. We really, truly are a part of a miraculous, wonderful ministry, something going on in the earth that is not taking place anywhere else. That is the truth, Straitway. So praise the Father for that. I praise him always for the leadership, the elders, the things that go on behind the scenes, and the weights that they carry for their love for the people. I honestly appreciate the sisters and the respect that they give me on a personal, private level. And as I strive to love them, I am very thankful to them. Thanking him always for my master, Deacon Bell. And I can't say enough about his phenomenal character as he leads me in this life. And I do only have one life to live. Sister Jennifer?
Yes, ma'am. First and foremost, I just want to also acknowledge the Heavenly Father, whose mercies are new every morning. His faithfulness just never fails us. And it's such an honor for me to be a woman that he chose for this time and place to be a part of this remnant in this ministry. I want to acknowledge my head, Elder Rufus, for his leadership and just for doing such an excellent job in showing us what brokenness truly is this past Shabbat, so that we can walk in new life with our Master. I also want to acknowledge Pastor Dow and Mother Carol as they are in Canada laboring for the saints. I want to give a thank you to Brother Steve and Sister Wenda for always taking such good care of the man of Yah and his family. So blessings and peace to you all.
Hallelujah. Absolutely special thanks to the Northern Tribe if they're able to hear this or even go back on a record and hear it. My chat room is not working. I hope you're able to hear me. I wouldn't be able to see it if not. So, Jennifer, if you could keep up with the chat room for tonight, that'd be great. Mine's not pulling up. We have some really... I guess if you want to say sometimes the show for me can get very intimate because I do share with you all my personal walk. I do share my examples or testimonies, things that go on within me. And at the same time, I keep things from everyone, too, because I have a private relationship with the Father. But tonight, especially by the second half of this show, as long as all of you endure it, I believe you're going to be greatly edified. Because I will share intimate things to help you grow. And just as Elder Rufus shared in his message recently about his love and expression to the people and him saying, if I could, he's heard people say, I don't wish my dirt on nobody, but he says, I do. I wish my dirt on you if it would make you better, if it would make you love more, et cetera, all the things his heart's trying to express. He would wish those things upon you if you could grow from them. And at the same time, he also expressed that he doesn't mind throwing himself out there to use himself as an example of his dirt. However you judge him, view him, criticize him, none of that matters if you can be edified. And that truly is my heart as well. When you throw yourself out here like this, like the way we are up front, Jennifer, myself, of course the pastors and leadership, you do have a more critical eye upon you, and it's not a negative. It just is what it is. You have a higher standard that you need to live up to, and you have to measure up and meet the words that you're expressing week after week. So please keep Jennifer and myself lifted as we press on to try to be examples on the show for all of you. I've noticed one thing, Jennifer, about coming into the faith and how pastors even expressed it before. When you come this way, everyone seems holy. Everyone is wonderful, exalted, beautiful in your eyes. And what happens is we drop them down after coming around and being around. The full soul loatheth the honeycomb, the word says. and you began to disrespect these people or look down upon these people, criticize them, you start to see negative, and what can happen is two things happen in the face. That negativity that you now see, you have now forgotten your testimony of the people originally, and now what you feel and think about them consumes you. So you either start seeing yourself, and then you become to honor and respect these people even more than you did coming in, or you get offended at the nature of the people, blame a man, a sister, a person in front of you, and you walk away from the Father. So that is, without fail, what goes on within the hearts of the people that come in and out of this ministry. So I pray that if we have ever thrown ourselves out there as a testimony, as a witness to you of what we go through, and we share our personal intimate secrets with you, it is for you to appreciate or even love us the more, because we are striving to love you. I hope that's making sense. Anything to add to that, Jennifer?
Yes, ma'am. It makes perfect sense. You know, a lot of times when you are in certain positions, you have to really be careful of what you share. You want to make sure that you share with people who are mature enough to actually grow from your experiences, because you don't want to cause a stumbling block to anyone else, even if your intent is pure. But I remember Mother Carol saying a while back that there's a level of maturity that you have to have when you are sharing these things. So we pray that we come across as this information comes across the way it needs to be. We're really not just trying to spew things out that won't help you. We truly desire for you to grow and learn as we grow and learn as well.
Absolutely. We try to select the things that need to be talked about regardless of the pain that it may inflict, because we too are in the same race. Go to 1 Peter 4:17, please. We're going to start there. It's a really good point for anyone who has not read that verse.
1 Peter 4:17. For the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of Yah, begin at us. What shall the end be of them that obey not the gospel of Yah?
Key point, go to 2 Chronicles 15:3. Key point, of course, being the judgment first comes to the house of Yah. I hope you all understand that his judgment and his chastisement, all those things upon us as daughters of Zion, as women in this ministry, are great representations of the Father's love for us. He is not bothered or worried about this world that we are living in or surrounded by. They have set themselves a judgment already that is preordained already. It is the house of Yah that he will judge first, and is being judged even now. 2 Chronicles 15:3.
Now, for a long season, Israel hath been without the true Yah, and without a teaching priest, and without law.
So you see all the things that Israel has been without for a long season. They've been without Yah. So it's not about, I came into the truth at 40 or at 50 or at 60 years old. I've been a long time without the Father. No, actually, there's hundreds of years that we as a people have been without him. So it's not about just you or how many years that you live set apart from him and now striving to him. It's actually your ancestors lived without him. And the people before your people were without him. So we have so many years etched in stone of, you can't call it waste, but it is a long period of time where there is no representation of our Yah amongst us. So that's why it's so priceless to be given a gift, a man of Yah, that can actually be a counselor unto you, or to be given a Holy Spirit, which is a counselor unto you, because we cannot be guided by our own thoughts. It's very difficult for some to accept anyone that doesn't think like them. That's what this society does. Everyone clicks as long as you think together. We have golf clubs and communities and FCAs and ABC groups all over this land that if you agree like me, swear an oath like me, then we can gel, we can jive, we can be together. So when you have this man set up before you, this pastor that is before you, that functions or thinks completely opposite of how we always have, It can put your soul in a very uncomfortable position. That's what makes this way so straight. So I hope this is making sense. This is not where we're going at all by any means, but as we always, or I like to say, paint the picture for the show, we've been a long season without Yah, without his priest, without his direction. And it's much bigger than just you or me or her or him or any of that. It's about Israel, the house of Israel, the gathering of all of us and all his people. So I appreciate Yah greatly and glorify him for what he is doing. And with that said, I wanted to go to Pastor's quote for Shabbat. Some of you may even thought, man, this is definitely what the show is going to be about, because that was way too impactful of a quote for Pastor to say to us sisters directly, for us not to have to address it. And I pray that if you have meditated on the words that Sister Jennifer is about to share with us directly from Pastor's quote, if you meditated or prayed about it, I pray that some of your answers come forth tonight, because this is getting to be straighter. This is going to be a clean people. And, I still get to speak to the foolish, the people who, as the woman who called today and said, can you get freedom and deliverance without listening to Pastor? Can you get set free if I don't fellowship? Can you really love if you don't love the Messiah? That's what I ask. Can you love if you don't love the Messiah? No. So we are a very set-apart ministry, and we do set ourselves apart to think the same way. So what if I did answer this woman? Oh, absolutely. You can get all the deliverance that you want if you don't listen to Pastor. What kind of instability would this ministry carry if we sent you down all the avenues of life except here? Okay, let's go to Pastor's quote, Sister Jennifer.
Yes, ma'am. Just to set this up, Pastor was actually speaking of those who resist polygyny when he went into this quote. He says, I think personally it's really a hit to make sure there's no true sisterhood, because women can't be sisters. Ask any one of these sisters, who is your bestest of best friend that you would lay down your life for? I guarantee they can't tell you one. Not a one of them. Do you believe me? Ask the sisters. Ask them. When we get finished with the service, ask them all out there. Ain't none of them got no close friends. They're sisters, but they ain't friends, because a friend lays down his life. Aren't we supposed to have the love of Christ in us? Are we not? Christ said, I call you friends. A brother is born for adversity, but a friend loveth at all times. A friend sticketh closer than a brother. No greater love than this, that a man lay down his life for his friend. And oh, what a friend we have in Jesus, and you ain't got none. A nation of hypocrites. You ain't got none. But you want somebody to lay down their life for you. You say, I'll be damned if I'm going to lay down my life for somebody. Ain't I right, sisters? It could be the perfect sisterhood, because you get all the focus and center of attention off of you. And it will be on your husband, because that's the only way you can be happy. Sorry, women. The only way you'll be happy is by being in your helpmeet role, not a help hinderer. End quote.
Share your thoughts.
Wow. When I first heard this, it was really hard hitting, because I had deceived myself that, surely I have some sisters that I would lay down my life for, and I honestly had deceived myself. And the further we went along, and the more he just exposed, and the more that was uncovered, I truly felt uncovered. I really did. And it was really hard to hear So much so I really had to seek the Father, and I'll get to that later, you know, with the heart and the attitude that I really had to go to the Father in. But this right here is some hard-hitting truth. It really is. And, you know, it's interesting that we heard about brokenness right after this quote was shared. You know, like the Father knew that we would have to go into brokenness to even be able to be delivered so that we can truly move into really loving one another the way that we should.
You know, what it means to me, let me start here. You have to receive pastor as your pastor in order for these words to even have impact. If you listen to us from a distance without him as your pastor, or merely looking through a telescope or microscope to see us, or to believe in your mind that you see us, it's not going to work, okay? Because the impact of the truth and the sword that the word brings is for his sheep who hear his voice, who hear it from his shepherd, who hear it from Pastor Dow. So tonight, my heart's intention is to share things and speak directly to those who agree that Pastor Dow is our pastor. As he is not worried about those who do not proclaim him, I do not worry about those listening in tonight that don't proclaim us or him either. So what it means to me to hear that none of us would lay down our life for one another, and none of us have a friend, or we are not a friend to each other, and we don't have love for Christ. That's very impactful. You cannot love Christ. None of you. That's why it's so impacting to me. Not surprising at all, but impacting. It means no one has unconditional love. I'm talking to sisters. No one has unconditional love. Because disrespect is optional, but love is not. That means that we still lie, we still flatter, we still speak against each other, that we're disloyal, that we can't rely on one another, that we still react to our insecurities, that we bind others to our past, that we get defensive. Me chief. You know? Hate has consumed many of us. Walls of defensiveness and walls of hate, injuries, betrayals, all these things. The only thing that can penetrate is love. Love is a verb. You know that, right? It's an action. Love is a verb. Sister Jennifer, let's go. We're going to always continually reflect on Zechariah 7 tonight, and always reflect on Pastor's quote for us. And see, this is why, as I said, you have to have the belief that he is your pastor, because you can sit back in your arrogance and assume that why would you allow a man to tell you who you love or don't love? See, that's what an American woman may say. She may disagree with a man giving any form of instruction about her heart, because why? I know who I love. I know who I don't love. I know who I am. He don't know me. And I hope none of us had that response. Probably not. But we're going to try to cover different responses tonight so that you can adjust your heart accordingly. So let's go to Zechariah 7, 9 through 12.
Thus speaketh Yahweh of hosts, saying, execute true judgment, and show mercy and compassion, every man to his brother. And oppress not the widow, nor the fatherless, the stranger, nor the poor. And let none of you imagine evil against his brother in your heart. They refuse to hearken, and pulled away the shoulder, and stopped their ears, that they should not hear. Yea, they made their hearts as an adamant stone, lest they should hear the law and the words which Yahweh of hosts hath sent in his spirit by the former prophets. Therefore came a great wrath from Yahweh of hosts.
So the two requirements that are stated in the earlier verses was that every one of us show mercy and compassion to our brother. In our instance would be our sister. And the other requirement is that none of us would imagine evil against our, who? Sister. The word says brother. So key point number 1, you show mercy and compassion to your brother. Key point number 2, you imagine no evil against your sister in your heart. Key point number 3, but they refused to listen. They pulled away their shoulders and they stopped their ears that they should not hear. They did that. That was a response in them. Okay? And last key point we'll reflect on tonight would be that they hardened their hearts. All right? So each 4 of these we're going to try to break down. Starting first and foremost with showing mercy and compassion to his brothers. Just think about that for a moment, okay? From the beginning of the word to the end, the scriptures that we all carry as a nation, as a people, that we proclaim to follow a Elohim that is what? All merciful and compassionate. That his mercy endures forever, testified by the psalmist. He was seated on a mercy seat, a mercy seat. That's where he abode in the tabernacle, as Brother Shane is about to go into in his scripture studies. He was showing mercy to the thousands of them who loved him. And go to Psalms 25:7. The reason I'm speaking of his mercy is because from the beginning of the scriptures to the end, that we all carry and believe in, it testifies of the Father's mercy. It doesn't testify of any man's mercy one to another. It doesn't testify of any woman being merciful. It is truly our Elohim being merciful. And being his children, it has to be in us to express and show mercy. It was a requirement that we just read in Zechariah 7:9 to show mercy. Every one of you to show mercy and compassion to your brothers. In our case, sisters. Psalms 25:7.
Remember not the sins of my youth, nor my transgressions. According to thy mercy, remember thou me for thy goodness' sake, O Yahweh.
The reason I like this is because it's a proof text that what is mercy. And in this statement, it's his forgetfulness, I guess you can call it that, where he will scatter our sins as far as the east to the west. He is not remembering our iniquities, the things we take before him, the things that we cover in the blood of Yeshua. He is not remembering what we remember. And even the more so, he is not remembering the sins of someone else that is covered in the blood that you may be remembering about them, your sister. So I like to reflect on his forgetfulness. And I say that in purity, right? Because he's in full control of what he remembers and what he chooses not to remember. What else for his mercy comes to your heart, Sister Jennifer?
You know, it's just like we talked about a few broadcasts ago, really putting yourself in your sister's shoes. And even Pastor Dow taught about this, you know, how we fail to do that. We don't try to put ourselves in you know, our sister's situation to really try to see what the mindset is, what she's dealing with. That's the only way that you'll be able to have mercy or even extend any type of compassion, is if you can truly relate to what your sister is going through or dealing with.
And I'm going to share a testimony from my heart right here at this point, because one thing that really stands out or came to my mind in reflecting on showing mercy and compassion is let's even go back to the song that Sister Shalea sings for us at the beginning of every show. And it gives a list of what we are: mother, daughter, wife, friend, teacher, keeper at home. Okay? Mother. As a mother, I believe that we can be the most unmerciful, uncompassionate beings towards children that are not our own. Okay? Now, I've had experience with my own lack of mercy and my own lack of compassion, so I believe I can speak. Because it's once you abhor something that's in you, then you can begin to see clearly who may share what you have tried to walk away from. Let's give an example of your relationship with your child, just you and your child, okay? Job 39, Sister Jennifer. Read 13 through 17.
Job 39, 13 through 17. Gavest thou the goodly wings unto the peacocks, or wings and feathers unto the ostrich, which leaveth her eggs in the earth, and warmeth them in dust, and forgetteth that the foot may crush them, or that the wild beast may break them. She is hardened against her young ones, as though they were not hers. Her labor is in vain without fear, because Yah hath deprived her of wisdom, neither hath he imparted to her understanding.
I cannot exhaust what this scripture could actually mean to you as a mother if you were to go back and truly reflect on this behavior of the ostrich, of her hardness towards her own. And I believe as we are so consumed in our selfishness in this country, we do not reflect upon the impact that we have on our seed, nor do we look out for them. We are accused of overprotecting them, but we also need to know when you are overprotecting. So there is as a mother, it's a huge responsibility that has been placed upon your shoulders, and the large majority of this generation is greatly failing. And this expression of love, okay, being a mother is an expression of love that you should have for your child, correct? Now go with me, because at first I'm speaking of just you and your children. But let me share something more intimate with you all that has happened to me, okay? We had a beloved sister in the ministry who lives in another state, and she has sought permission and got permission to leave her son with Deacon for the summer, 2+ months or whatever. I'll be seeing her soon. She'll be picking him up. It's been a wonderful time. Now, let me tell you about my heart, okay? It is very easy for Ashley to love my own. And this is your testimony too. Believe me when I say it, mothers, this is where you are at. Because living at a community where constant sacrifice is required of you for the Father and constant obedience is required of you, this is the life we live that some of you truly will not ever understand. Now I have been given a soul to take care of for the summer that I take very serious. It's not a light thing to just have a young man who's 10 years old to stay in my husband's house when I need to not only be there as a mother for him, but to also try to uphold his mother's rules for him while he's here, at the same time teaching him the rules of the community, at the same time being very balanced in discipline and love, making sure that he's very comfortable in this environment, because he doesn't need to be rejected or feel rejected by people just because we don't feel like we need to take care of him. Anything can arise in your heart because I don't really know him. This is an awesome opportunity for me to grow in what? Love. But see, if I had not been given this opportunity to where here's this child, he's going to be given to you until his mother comes and is able to pick him back up. If I had not been given this opportunity, I could not see that, wow, it's easier for me to love my own. When I grew up, okay, and we all got stories, so this is just a me story. My mama is still to this day, 36, 38 years in teaching in the school system. Almost 40 years, would it be 40? I think it's 36. 36 years of her life she is dedicated to children. And do you know that she hates them? Well, how do you know, actually, that she hates them? What do you mean that she hates them? When I was growing up, children were not allowed to come into my house. If they came to my house, which I could probably name, five times, less than 10 times in my life, even growing junior high school up to high school. If they came over or if they were to sleep over, we slept in the garage. We were allowed to only go into the bathroom, to use the bathroom, and get back outside. Because if you were in her house, you were messing it up. You were making it dirty. You were touching her stuff. She don't want to hear your noise or hear what you got to say. So 36 years of working in a teaching environment has not given you the heart or the love of Christ. So see, what happens when you are now able to, live in a tribal environment, guess what else happened? Well, we just had a beloved sister named Chester, who we all testified to love, pass away. Now, who's going to step to the plate to take care of her 8-year-old son that we also, too, testify that we love? Well, Sister Diane steps to the plate with authority, obviously, or the blessing of her authority. So Sister Diane steps to the plate to take in this child that could possibly be a part of her life for the rest of his life. Because why? Daddy has to go to work, and now Mommy's not around. Now, who has that kind of heart? Now, you may testify to yourself or believe within yourself that you have that kind of heart, but let me shove a child into your life and see how much you love them. Let's see what kind of love you really got going on. Because sometimes you're not going to feel like loving them. Sometimes you're going to put your spirit off on them. I'm telling you, it's reality. So see, living here, we get this really awesome opportunity to be cleaned and scrubbed, and it's the grind. Because I don't want to see this stuff in me, and I know Yah sees it in me. So if Diane asks me, hey, I got to run here or there, I got to do this and take care of that, you think I'm going to ignore the fact that that child needs a mother or someone to love or an overseer? No way. It's an opportunity for me to love more, because me seeing my heart clearly lets me go to the Father and say, I don't have the heart that is required of me. And in me doing that, I can now be broken. I can now grow in love because I'm being honest with myself. Jennifer?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. Dealing with children who have not come from your own womb is one way to see where you are lacking in love. I know that my mother came from a pretty large family, and all of her sisters had, at least 5 or 6 children. The one thing that was missing in their lives that I see now is community. What was missing as well, polygyny was missing. They didn't have the strength of other women being able to come along and to help. And as a result of that, they were overwhelmed. They didn't understand that you can't do it all by yourself. They didn't understand how to love someone else's children. They just knew how to love their own. Everything was a possession. And so when you have not been raised with community, you have not been raised with polygyny, you just really see how selfish you are. You see how faulty your love is. And you see how it's truly easy to deceive yourself. And that's why I'm so thankful that the Father reveals the truth to us through the man of Yah.
I don't have the scripture before me, but I know the Apocrypha talks about when a man takes a widow as a wife, that he should focus more upon fathering her children than he should being a husband. That's our culture. That's our people. The next generation really matters. As Pastor played the video of the mother who didn't know the baby daddy of her children as she sleeps around. I look over at Sister Toma, who obviously, being an ex-Hamite, right, being a Hebrew, but coming from the land of Ham, has a really disgusted look on her face, not knowing anybody's paying attention, And she has a great love for children. I really don't know of anyone at this point, and it's just personal opinion because Yah knows the heart, so he knows there are many sisters in the ministry that love like Toma loves. But Sama really expresses her love for children, and she was really disgusted at how degrading it was for her this woman, her people, but for the children's sake as well. And I think we should all really seek the Father. If you are a mother, really seeking Him on becoming a better lover for your children. I'm telling you, we have a long way to grow in that area, and as well as focusing on loving someone else's child just as much as your own, knowing that the emotional attachment and the affections of your own are not going to be replaced. So that's not the kick, but it's very important that we not injure the little ones or offend the little ones, and be really righteous examples for them. Perfect balance of discipline, fun, even never striving to be their friend, but always striving to love them. Okay, so you may not have an opportunity to express your love towards someone else's child, but if you ever do, grasp it and really look at your heart. Let's move on to the key point number 2. Zechariah 7:9. It said, none of you imagine evil against your brother. We're going to say sister. So none of you imagine evil against your sister in your heart. There's a really good record of our people in Jeremiah 5, if you ever want to write this down and read it. A record of our people, Jeremiah 5:22 through 31. All right, Jeremiah 5:22 through 31. A really good record of our people in reflection to imagining evil. Let's go to Zechariah 8:17, Sister Jennifer.
Zechariah 8:17. And let none of you imagine evil in your hearts against his neighbor, and love no false oath. For all these things are things that I hate, saith Yahweh.
So, do you ever remember being in a passionate discussion or in a conflict, debate, whatever it takes, that where you felt the presence of something that you hate, you're just disgusted by, you hate it? Because this is our Father saying He hates, and it is much more powerful than any feeling that we could ever feel in the presence of our flesh. So if our Father is testifying that He hates, and what is He saying that He hates? It's someone who would imagine evil against their neighbor, against their brother, against their sister. I think it would do us well to reflect on this. And so at first I was having a hard time coming up with how I may have done it or am doing it to, call myself guilty, that I may repent. And so with much consideration, things do come to your mind. But Sister Jennifer, give me some examples of imagining evil.
When I think of imagining evil, especially amongst sisters, the one thing that I truly think of that really stands out is accusation. Because accusation divides. It really does divide. We are instructed that we're to go to our sister, if she trespasses against us, or, the Messiah, he tells us to do this. So in the same manner, if you do something to trespass against your sister, she should come to you. But the problem is that as women, we get so offended when another sister follows these instructions. And we start accusing her of being jealous, or she's just nitpicking, or calling her a Jezebel, simply because she has followed biblical instruction. And, her heart really is pure, but yours is bound by the offense. So we're accusing our sister of something that is totally untrue. So, again, it's accusation, because accusation is sent to divide, and that is a way that we imagine evil in our hearts against our sister. We imagine something that is not even there.
Go to Genesis 16 and read verse 3 through 9. The interesting thing about our culture is it's always going to hold us to righteousness. And praise Yah for that, because the wicked flee. And it would be easy to flee any circumstance or situation with another sister that would keep you from love, right? It's easy to flee. Let's pay attention. Y'all know this story. Let's listen to this story in reference to what we're discussing tonight. Go ahead, Jennifer.
And Sarai, Abram's wife, Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife. And he went in unto Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. And Sarai said unto Abram, My wrong be upon thee. I have given my maid into thy bosom. And when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her eyes. Yahweh judge between me and thee. But Abram said unto Sarai, Behold, thy maid is in thy hand. Do to her as it pleaseth thee. And when Sarai dealt hardly with her, she fled from her face. And the angel of Yahweh found her by a fountain of water in the wilderness, by the fountain in the way to Shur. And he said, Hagar, Sarai's maid, whence camest thou, and whither wilt thou go? And she said, I flee from the face of my mistress, Sarai. And the angel of Yahweh said unto her, Return to thy mistress, and submit thyself under her hands.
Isn't that an interesting story? You have Sarah who has, I'm trying to look into the situation, but Sarah has no problem with this woman. And so she gives her to her husband. And the word seems to be somewhat confusing because it says she despises her after conception. But then when she speaks to Abraham, she says about Hagar, I was despised in her eyes. So you're going, okay, well, which one's despised? Because the word it seems to be contradicting. But nevertheless, Abraham being authority, giving Sarah the authority over this bondwoman or handmaid or over even his wife, she takes the authority to, send her away. Now, it says she dealt with her harshly. So we don't know what that is. We don't know what she endured. We don't know what it was like to endure this relationship, to have this conflict, to see the looks, the stares, the glares, the fiery darts, the contention, whatever the case may be. And for Hagar to be instructed by the Father through an angel to return and submit shows you that once again our culture is about unity. It's never about division. But I don't know if Sarah imagined evil. I don't know if Hagar imagined evil. But you see what was required of them? So it wasn't about what had been said or what had been done. It was about bringing forth the fruit, which potentially was Israel. Jennifer?
Yes, ma'am. And it is, what this society, this American culture, this American society has taught us is that you can just cut people off. And this is why we have not perfected our love to this day, because we don't understand and we don't know what it's like to just really stay in there and to not take the easy way out, but to actually work relationships out. And that's why I love this passage, because, she couldn't flee. They had to work it out. They had to actually deal with it. But the culture that we've been raised in, the majority of us have been raised in, teaches us that, you can just discard that person and just start working towards somebody else. And you never get any results that way.
That's right. Let's go back to Zechariah 7:9. Read it one more time as we reflect on the third point that we're going to make from 7:9 through 12.
Thus speaketh Yahweh of hosts, saying, Execute true judgment, and show mercy and compassion, every man to his brother. And oppress not the widow, nor the fatherless, the stranger, nor the poor. And let none of you imagine evil against his brother in your heart. But they refused to hearken, and pulled away the shoulder, and stopped their ears, that they should not hear. Yea, they made their hearts as an adamant stone, lest they should hear the law and the words which Yahweh of hosts has sent in his spirit by the former prophets. Therefore came a great wrath from Yahweh of hosts.
All right, so reflection point number 3 would be the refusal to listen, how we as a people have stopped our ears and that we didn't want to hear, and we pulled away our shoulders. We pulled our attention and our focus away from what Yahweh was stating. I think about whether you're an Israelite or not, there is a brokenness, like Elder Rufus speaks of, that even he, opening up in his word and his preaching, realized and stated that many people would not even understand what he was talking about because they had not experienced the brokenness. Nevertheless, it wasn't going to keep him from testifying of it. He talked about how David was a broken man, and he even proclaimed, David said, I am like a broken vessel. He talked about Job. Elder Rufus talked about Job, using the key verse that I was at ease, but he broke me. Yah broke me. Even Nebuchadnezzar, who was not a believer, not an Israelite, not in the faith. Okay, so you have David and Job that was, but you have Nebuchadnezzar whose mind, it says, the word says his mind was hardened in pride. And because his mind was hardened in pride, he was brought very low. And the word says, if through the Spirit we mortify the deeds of the body, then we shall live. So what happens when you're brought low is you are whether you are high and lofty or low, you have fruit expectations of you. When you're high and lofty and your mind is hardened in pride, your fruit expectation is humility. And when you are brought low, your fruit expectation is to mortify the deeds of the body and to bring forth the fruit of what? Love, joy, peace, whatever your requirement is, wherever you're at right now, whatever you're not able to produce, that is what the Father is trying to bring forth out of you. But every fruit has its season. Elder even spoke of, some of these exotic fruits. That was kind of funny, actually, that he never heard of. Some of y'all think y'all bringing forth fruit. I ain't never heard of this stuff. He's talking about the apples, the oranges, the bananas. Okay, but keeping it with this, fruit has a season. Fruit has a season. So the love that we will manifest and bring forth as sisters, it too has a season. But because of our high and lofty hardness and pride and our refusal to listen, et cetera, we have to be brought low as a group. As an individual, yes, but as a group. And so the fruit that is expected of us will come forth. And there is encouragement in knowing the truth. But when you first feel the sword and the stabs and the impacts of the words that are coming forth to tear you down and to destroy you, it can bring forth rejection and shame if you allow these things to minister to you. But two, again, Sister Jennifer, you can't be bringing forth fruit with us as a group or even on an individual level if you are avoiding dying daily. Help me explain that.
Absolutely. When we talk about refusing to hear, it really does go back to accusations. When you refuse to hear correction from your sister or from whomever because of your own offense, it's the same thing as refusing to die. In this faith, in order to really make it, it takes a lot of dying to our flesh, and we have to die daily. But when you refuse to listen and you pull away your shoulder and you stop your ears so that you won't hear, you're not dying. You allow your flesh to live and you reject the tool that the Most High is trying to use to sharpen you. So, this is the only ministry that I know of that we get sharpened well. Several times a week we get sharpened well. We get the word on a higher level than anyone else out there that I know of. And so if you harden your heart, you refuse to hear, Again, you reject the tool that the Most High is trying to use to sharpen you, and you don't die.
Let's go back to my example of this young 10-year-old boy that's been put in Deacon's care for the summer. And with Deacon being gone to work, he is a lot of times in my care with much help. He goes to his auntie's house who is here, et cetera, et cetera. But just let's reflect on what she just talked about, the tool that can sharpen you. Let's just say I get in my own world, and this was not going to happen, not to me. I wouldn't allow it. I get in my own world, got a 4-year-old, got a 1-year-old, got a child in my womb, baby on the way, got a husband, got a blog talk show, got my stewardships, got all my phone calls, got my things I need to take care of from day to day, et cetera, et cetera. I'm busy. So here comes the 10-year-old that, you know what, I don't got time for him. Let's just say I had that attitude, okay, and that's not going to happen. Let's say it did. What I would be doing is refusing the tool that would actually sharpen me and allow me to express even more love to the father and to this child while he is in need of love because his mother isn't here to love him. But let's just say I just let him run around, do whatever, stay up all hours of the night, go wherever, go into anybody's house, don't require any rules or anything from him that the community standards, hold. How would that also oppress the people? So see, there's a backlash or a domino effect of you not using a tool that has been put before you to sharpen you, an opportunity before you that you are to grasp a hold of and grow with it and produce fruit. If you don't do that, there are repercussions, and the body here can feel that. So I have to take him in and take responsibility of his attitude, his actions, his nature. I can't tell you the countless times that I need to, oversee him or check on him or, a 10-year-old. They're not hard to watch by any means, but because this is his first time staying here, he needs me. He may not believe he needs me, but this is a huge responsibility given unto me. So I needed to do it with the best of my ability, and in doing so, I'm able to now use that tool to grow in love, because now I wouldn't do that just for him, but I could do it for another child, like David, or another child when you need me. Making sense? Jennifer?
Yes, ma'am. It's pretty much spot on. I really can't add anything. You broke it down really well for us.
All right, let's go to key point, heart. Let's go there. This will wrap up just the key points that we reflect on Zechariah 7:9 tonight. But the people harden their heart, and Job even talks about who has hardened himself; they've not prospered, or he's basically saying who has hardened himself and ever prospered. Okay, so remember that we have every single one of us have been in a state of hardness, whether prior to the faith or even now. Every one of us. Another reason we can relate and that we should be able to have mercy and compassion one to another to help each other overcome, because we all understand hardness in our own ways. Let's read an account where the Messiah was speaking to the people, Mark 6, and we're going to really reflect on Pastor's statement during this reflection of hardness of heart. Mark 6, go to verse 50 and read 50 through 52.
For they all saw him and were troubled, and immediately he talked with them, and saith unto them, Be of good cheer, it is I, be not afraid. And he went up unto them into the ship, and the wind ceased. And they were sore amazed in themselves beyond measure, and wondered, for they considered not the miracle of the loaves, for their heart was hardened.
All right, so you have an entire group that saw something take place. They all were troubled, collectively all were troubled, and he sees the state of mind that they're in, and he encourages and says, be of good cheer. He goes into the ship and then reflects on, look at that point, you consider, read the last point, read verse 52.
For they considered not the miracle of the loaves, for their heart was hardened.
Okay, so they didn't consider the miracle that they had witnessed prior because their heart was hardened. Now, this is a very, very detailed account of human behavior. Let's take it back to Pastor speaking to us. I mean, who's going to hear what they heard him say and not be troubled? Who's going to hear and see and witness his rebuke or correction for us and not be troubled? But then the Messiah always comes with encouragement. See, the enemy doesn't. The enemy does not come with encouragement. He comes with the feelings and the emotions that will defeat you. But the Messiah says even here to his people in Mark 6, be of good cheer, and he encourages, and he went back to the ship. But what happened is we can easily forget the miracle of the chastisement of the Father in this generation. See, it is an absolute miracle to witness a man of Yah shepherding a people, ministering to a people, and to witness the Father gathering his people and chastising them, correcting them, and putting them in a straight and narrow way. It's easy to forget that when you're lost in your emotions and your feelings. Now, I got to say, the only thing that I heard in my mind when he was telling us, who's gonna lay down their life for another sister, right? Who's gonna do that? And he's saying none of you are gonna lay down your life, because none of you are a friend, and none of you have a friend. And something inside of each of us goes, yeah, I know that, but yeah, we have a hard time hearing it from someone else. And he talks about a friend that loves at all times. And he goes into all this, and he's revealing that we don't love the Father. And all I heard was, not even mother? Not even mother? And I'm not throwing her out there like that either. It's just I've seen her manner of love. Do you understand? I've witnessed love on a grand scale that ain't none of us produced. So that was my initial reaction. I didn't have anything other than a dagger and a stab to my heart, because I am not meeting up to the standards that the Father requires of me. But at the same time, is it really a surprise to you, daughter of Zion, that you don't love? Should we really be in awe, Jennifer?
Yes, ma'am. Very true. And, I'm going to expose the devil that, that I battled that particular day. And I kept saying in my head, none of us? Really, Father? Wow. It was like a disbelief. And I really had to fight discouragement within my own heart. I had to fight the voice that tried to tell me that, all of my actions to love have been in vain, and you're still at square one. You'll never advance. Why even continue to just try to love like this? And, I struggled with the fact that not one of us has a sister that they would lay down their life for. And I share this with you to expose the devil in me, because I know that if I had those thoughts, I cannot be the only one. And the purpose of the Hasatan is to come during those moments to harden your heart, just like we read about. You forget all the miracles and you start to harden your heart. So we have to make sure that we don't hear this as rejection. We have to see this as a level of correction, as love, and not to fall into condemnation. And many times we've talked about, we've gotten phone calls or letters or, women who have a hard time listening to our pastor. And really, it has nothing to do with pastor. It's all in the hearing. It's all in how we hear. And when you have that high octane ping, when you get that stab in your heart, when you get that prick wherever you get it, wherever you feel it, that is the area, the sensitive area that you need to work on.
And I attest to that fact because as time progressed, with the reflection of his statement, I too was challenged with, yes, I do, which really is an unbelief and even a form of rebellion, because my heart was wanting to even say who I believe I would lay my life down for. I had names, right? I have these sisters that are before me in my mind, and me thinking, as she said earlier in the show, self-deceived, to believe that I would do this for them because I have tried to meet all the requirements required of my soul for these sisters from the beginning. I don't know of anything I can't do or haven't done or won't do for them. So you're getting this justification going on, which I knew was wrong, because there's something he sees that we don't see. There's something he knows that we don't know. So I had the discouragement. I had the tears. I had the disbelief. I had the, ask me. Somebody ask me. I'll tell you who I think is my friend and who I am a friend to. So I, too, had the challenges later on, which proves that just even being ministered to is not the only time you can harden yourself. If I had chose to harden myself in offense when it was coming forth, I could have done that. If I chose to harden myself in my quiet time or in my meditation as I reflected on what he said, or as I got offended at what he said, I could have done that too. And when you harden yourself to any truth, what happens is you are now exposed to fear, unbelief, and spirits that you would have never been exposed to if you had not just simply acknowledged the truth and progressively acted contrary to, if you had progressively attacked the spirits that you are hearing initially. Let me break that down. If I'm hearing from the Father through Pastor, I may have an initial challenge. I may have a sword. I may have a dagger to my heart. That was the most impactful Sabbath. That's the most impactful statement that I believe I ever remember. Ever. That's me. Y'all have your own testimonies. That's the most impactful statement. I never heard something that was so hurtful to me that challenged me to go into defeatism. Because as she said, what are we striving for? Right? And we're calling out the devil because I know that's how he could talk to all of us. What are we doing? As Paul says, we run as though we beat the air. Are we just dejected and rejected? You know, what is a woman? There's none amongst us that loves me or I love them. Right? So you can go into all that negativity. You can entertain that all you want. But in entertaining that, what happens is you're exposed to more and more and more and more fear, doubt, unbelief, rejection, dejection, all the things that are going to torment your soul, even later on. But to take the initial battle and to accept it and to fight against it is going to make you so much stronger in the end than wavering down the road of discouragement and disbelief. Does this make sense, Sister Jennifer? Any words for the Daughters designed to explain when you do harden yourself how you are exposed to even more torment?
Yes, ma'am. Because like you said, it's just flat out rebellion. When you're hardening your heart, you're not even open to receive the word. And so we have to have the same attitude. When we first came into the ministry, you know, what really helped me is to understand that I know nothing. I've been deceived this long, this many years of my life, I've been deceived and I know nothing. And so now, you know, when I hear something that is hard for me to accept, the attitude that I have is I know nothing. I truly know nothing, and I am here to learn, and that is what helps me along. You know, that's what helps me to not harden my heart. I don't understand right now, and I don't know, but I'm going to submit, and the Father will bring the understanding as I go. If you submit yourself and you trust that he will bring the understanding, is much better than hardening your heart and rejecting his word.
Absolutely. So going forward and having a proper response towards hearing anything that's very penetrating personally to you, we must, it all ties back to your intimate connection or relationship with the Father. The more open you are with the Father, the more he can reveal you to you, if that makes sense. So going forward and having a proper response, I mean, I can't tell you how many years ago it was that I confessed to the Father with weeping tears, lamenting, pouring my heart out that I don't love you. Do y'all understand how painful that is? Because we all run around saying it. We all run around saying, I love you. Oh, he's good. Y'all, he's good. I love him. But you have no idea how much hate you have in your heart towards him and his ways. You have no idea. What you need to do is live set apart. What you need to do is get intimate with him. Allow him to show you for who you really are. And no more stage playing and no more lip service. None of this fear of man or idolizing anyone around you. Just you and Yah. Because then you will have a proper response. Then as your heart may respond contrary to how it should, you can put your heart back into subjection to the Spirit of Yah that abides in you. So you can say to him, I don't love you, or I don't love my sisters. But then what? That's not enough. It's about bringing forth fruit once again. So it's saying, I don't have the heart that is required of me, Father, but I need it. Because proclaiming that I don't is not going to get me anywhere without his help. So you have to have the brokenness that Elder talked about. Jennifer?
Yes, ma'am. You talked about the appropriate response that we should have. I know in this particular situation, I first went to my head, and I confess that I was really jacked up at how I deceived myself in this area of loving my sisters and not having anyone I can truly call a friend, or not truly being a friend to, not one sister. And his response was this. He said, the man of Yah sees things that we don't, and his words are coming straight from the Father. It's a way of uncovering and exposing things that we don't see. So with that, I really went to the Father, and I asked him to truly help my understanding. And what did he do? He showed me. And he showed me, the areas that he continued to show me was that the areas that I refused to die in the flesh. So what brought the understanding for me was the fact that if I refuse to lay down my flesh daily to strengthen or benefit my sister, there's no way that I would be willing to even lay down my life for her if it really came down to it. He showed me in my daily interactions with my sisters the areas that I refuse to lay down my flesh, the areas that I refuse to die in the flesh. He's like, if you can't even die in the flesh, you're not going to lay down your life for your sister. So he showed me. I'm telling you, if you ask him, he'll show you. So just, in short, the appropriate response is to humble yourself, to seek the Father, really wait on his answer, and just truly have your heart conditioned to receive what he shows you, and purpose in your heart to change and to grow once you get it so that you can strengthen your sister. But the key is really dying daily in the flesh. If you can't die daily in the flesh, if you can't die to your pride and you can't humble yourself, you're not going to lay down your life for your sister.
It's just the truth. I hope this has really helped y'all. I really do. No, we're not done, right? Because we're transitioning to a different segment, keeping in line with everything we talked about. But I really hope this has helped y'all. Just throwing ourselves out there and knowing the impact of the truth, and believe me, more is coming, much more than what we heard. More impacts are coming, more statements of truth that are going to keep us on the edge of our seat and get us really clean. So keep yourself really prayed up. One time, Mother Bullock had told me that she foresaw a train wreck. She called it a shipwreck coming to me really soon. She didn't know when. She just foresaw it, and she said, if you stay prayed up, you allow it to just roll right off your shoulders. Like water off a duck, as the old folks say. So what I did was, and I know what a train wreck feels like. Believe me. Oh, Father, it's not anything you look forward to. It's like, hey, you want to stand in the middle, sister? You want to stand in the middle of a train track and just wait on the train to come? You don't really know when. You're just, tick-tock, tick-tock. You want to get hit by it? So I went even in more prayer, knowing that something was coming, because I believed what she said. I just got a witness of what she said because of how the Father was taking me at the time anyway. And sure enough, when it did come, I typically may have spiraled into discouragement for a while. Not discouragement in a state of, being defeated, but to a low point in humility or in brokenness where it's very hard to come out of when the Father shows you who you really are. And so I understand a train wreck. It's not, you do embrace it, but it's not something that you stand and wait for. But I was thankful for her words. And so just saying that, some of you, I know, being children of the King, you want to be broken. But at the same time, don't have an arrogance about yourself that just sits around and waits on it. Be prepared. Be prepared and hope that you stand. So I asked my sisters on the land, and the only one I did not ask is Sister Nellie, because Sister Nellie's extremely busy right now, and she would have had amazing input, I know, but she's running around doing many other things, so I just didn't want to require of her the answer for some of the questions or the question that I asked my sisters that live on the land. I wanted to, for some of you, this is not going to surprise you, because you've been here, you may understand humanity. But a large majority of you have not been here, and you don't know what we've been through as a people. And what I can truly attest and say is, let me say the positive first. I believe myself personally, I receive a lot of respect from the sisters, regardless of what they may have to fight in the back of their minds with, man, should I go and ask her? What if she says it on the show? Man, should I ask her for this question or this counsel? Maybe she'll call me out on the show, or maybe she'll, whatever spirit, and that's not me, that's not how I operate, but whatever spirits they may even have to fight just to even try to love me, endure me. I receive great levels of respect and honor from my sisters, and I know that all of us are striving to do that without respected persons across the board for each other, so I say that first. But I asked a question to the sisters on the land, and I got some really good responses I wanted to share with y'all. And the question sounds negative, so don't go there in your mind. It's not negative, but I asked them ways that they've seen the Straitway disrespected. Okay? I'm going to make a point by using these examples, so stick with me. But the ways that they have seen the land, the community, and the people here that have been striving for 20-plus years, myself going on 10 or whatever your years may be, when you come to live on a set-apart land and the other communities are going to experience it too, you receive great levels of disrespect. And so when you read these different answers, some of them may not even impact you. Depending on how hard your heart is, you may feel as if some of these things don't even matter, but it does. So I'm going to go there now, Jennifer, and I want your input, if you don't mind, in between each one. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Hallelujah. All right, so ways I've seen Straitway disrespected. The sister says, going past the gates to visit the animals without permission, all the trash on the ground, not only putting it out there, but also not putting it up or picking it up when you even see it and just walking by. Because y'all got to understand, we keep the land a certain way year round. And so to allow the world or the world in any of you to come and infiltrate it over and over for 20 years, you're going to see a pattern in these letters that's going to be like, wow, we really have endured a lot. I'm telling y'all, we've endured a lot. But I got some good points at the end that's going to give you encouragement. Throwing away food, throwing out our water, too. The reason she says water is because we distill our water, or we use reverse osmosis for our water, or we get it and draw it from the spring. So there's effort in getting our good water, and a lot of people throw glasses and glasses and glasses away, equaling up gallons of water, especially at feast. Another point she says is using the high chairs and leaving them filthy, or playing basketball loudly, or being loud no matter what you're doing after 1 a.m., not receiving correction for someone who lives here, someone who's telling you how we do something or that we don't do something, and getting offended and not taking the correction, or taking the correction like an insult. Remember, these are ways that this sister has seen Straitway be disrespected. Seeking pastor's time and his counsel when he goes home after being around the saints all day and being available all day. They still seek pastor's time and counsel when he goes home after hours. Expecting the young men to put up their tent and not giving them anything in return. Coming here to sit on their ass all day and telling us how we can do things better on the community, how we should do this or we should do that. Now, you got to understand, this is years and years of hundreds of people telling us that there's better ways to do things. Not keeping an eye on their children. She says, I often ask, where's your mother? And they always say, I don't know. Wasting products on the feast day. Unplugging our crock pots that we have food in that is usually a dinner or breakfast to plug in their cell phones. Now, this is common. They will walk up to a crock pot that we are cooking beans or whatever the case may be, whatever we're cooking in this crock pot, they will unplug it and stick their cell phone in to charge and not plug the crock pot back up. Complaining, knocking on bedroom doors at midnight, and the people in the saints' homes who have gone to bed, not moving their car to required parking spots, stealing money, and going into saints' homes without permission. Jennifer?
You know, as a woman who came from the city, I didn't understand hard work. I didn't understand what it was to grow your own food from a garden. You know, I would plant some tomatoes or some squash, but I never had a full garden until Straitway. And a lot of people can really have that mindset. But when you still hear these things going on, you know, even after the way that it's talked about, you know, Pastor Dow educates us on these things, and you wonder what are we all listening to? That's really what crosses my mind. Even coming from the city, if we're really listening to Pastor Dow, and we're listening to Straitway Truth, and we're listening to all the videos on Straitway Tech Team, but we still continue in this behavior, what are we really listening to?
That's right. So next one, remember, these are the ways that they have seen Straitway or the community or the land disrespected over the course of many years. I'm going to combine a few sisters, maybe, let's say 3 or 4 different answers because they're shorter. This one says, asking about the food that is being served, like what is it, what's in it, what did you put in it, what did you cook in it, what did you season it with, what's it made of, where did it come from, is it from a can? Coming late for meals and still expecting to eat or expecting someone to get up and make you something. No offer to help with dishes. No offer to help with food preparation, but just sit and expect to be served. Don't honor our rules such as throwing away food, leaving trash. Once again, this one says leaving trash. Not watching their own children, expecting us to. Don't clean up after their children, expecting us to. They don't stay out of our animals. They don't stay out of our chicken coop, out of our goat pens, or out of our cow fields. They use the toys at the playground and they leave everything out. They don't put anything back where it came from. They destroy the toys and the equipment and the things that are purchased for our children here. They talk through videos that are being played as Pastor plays them for us daily. They won't park where they're told to. They don't return borrowed items. And they don't consider the whole when going through the food line. Jennifer?
You know, a lot of people, I know the land at Straitway is so beautiful, and a lot of people really, they see Straitway as a resort. And I remember Sister Jaja admonished us a couple of years ago. She said, this is not vacation time, you know, and we should have enough respect within us to respect the land at Straitway. This is not our own home. We are being invited onto this land. We're being invited into the home of Pastor Dow, and we should respect it as such.
Yes, ma'am. Let's move on. Ways that people have come here and disrespected us on the community. They came with their children and stayed in our home, she says, and they let the children jump around on all our furniture like monkeys. We've had people disrespect us by not showing up at breakfast and expecting food when they show up super late. We've had people stay in our guest places that left them filthy, dirty, and a mess. Someone, of course, even left a jar of urine under their bed. We've had people come to our land and disrespect Mother Carol, telling her how she needs to do this and needs to do that, needs to change this and needs to change that. Jennifer?
No, that's a shame. You know, it's really hard for me to hear someone disrespecting a mother in the ministry. It's extremely, extremely hard for me to hear that. And urine being left in the home is absolutely disgusting. And a lot of times, you know, you hear people say, well, you should keep this place the way that you would keep your own home, or keep it as if it's your own. But what I've come to realize over the years is that, you know, some people, I don't want you to keep this place the way that you kept your home, because your home is nasty. So I don't want you to keep this place the way that you would. You should do much better.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. All right, this sister has a good list. Listen up, okay? You'll see my key points towards the end. This is going to tie into the intro and the beginning of our show. The following list are some of the ways that people have disrespected the saints, the land, and the community over the years. They pick certain saints' lifestyles, their eating habits, etc., and they use needle-like jabs on Blog Talk, social media, and they poke at righteous habits, such as, she gives an example, we're bringing chocolate chip cookies for Sister So-and-so when we come to next feast, Pastor Dow. She's referring to a call that was made to Pastor Dow openly on a Blog Talk, which she refers as a comment of disrespect because she knows this sister doesn't eat that. She doesn't eat like that. And you called it out over the whole broadcast that we're bringing it because it's her favorite. She doesn't want it. She doesn't want to be tempted by it. She's removed herself from it, etc., whatever the case may be, but you're still going to bring it and then throw it out there. Next, they wear us out through phone calls on planning a trip here. They give dates, times of arrival, and on the day that they are to be here, we've labored very hard over the lodging, over preparing their food, preparing their plates, etc., and they are no calls, no shows, and they just don't let us in on any changes that were made. We spend many hours till wee hours of the night on counseling, deliverance, healing, only to be treated like nothings. When they leave, after many years later, they never let us know why the offense after the stage playing for so long. We've given up our trailers and our homes for visitors to receive it back completely ransacked and trashed, and to be left to pick up their trash, their sodas, their half-eaten food on tables, etc. They borrow items, flashlights, umbrellas, blankets, books, deodorant, and never return those items. They speak how nice the people are, how nice the trailers are, the land, etc., to your face. Then when they stop coming, they turn those thoughts into lies of how awful all of this is. They drop their children off with saints with no lesson plans for teaching for the day or any ideas needed to help their child, and expect you to provide their snacks, their instructions, etc. They use a lot of our teachings and our good reputation for their own gain, and by their bad habits and their lifestyle and their works, they give our community a bad name. Jennifer?
You know, a lot of times people take kindness for weakness, and Straitway exhibits great kindness, great compassion. They show great mercy. And I think people take that as a sign of weakness, because I've never heard Straitway complain about any of this. I've never heard a complaint, not one time. And so it's not our duty to take that as, well, it just doesn't matter. We can just do whatever we want because they won't say anything. You know, we can't take the kindness of our brothers and our sisters as a weakness.
So true. Next one. Let me go to this. Let me go back to the question because it's not really this one. Ways that people have come and disrespected us on the community or our land. They get close to pastor. They stay in his house for weekends or weekends upon years. Hours of counsel. They eat at restaurants with him. This is in the past. Texts, phone calls, hours of time of his. They take his time from the saints here and from the saints scattered abroad that are faithful and righteous, and they take his time away from family, not to produce any fruit and later to fall away. Jennifer?
You know, it sounds very familiar. I know that we've had some people who have been kicked out of the ministry, some who have left the ministry, people who Pastor Dallas poured into lots of time, lots of effort into these people. And the only thing that happened was he gave a judgment that they did not want to keep. They refused to keep a simple judgment. And so, you know, to say that you follow this ministry, to say that you love the Father, but when you get corrected, you want to fall away and you want to pretend that this kindness was never extended to you, you know, it doesn't get rid of the fact that Pastor Dow really did spend this time with you. He really did pour into your life. That stuff doesn't just go away. So, you know, Mother Carol said, I remember one time she said, you know, the best way to thank Pastor is to show him. The best way to thank him is to show him. So, you know, before we start thanking him or thanking Mother or just whatever, just show him. Show them with our lifestyle.
All right, next one. How people have come to the land and disrespected. This sister goes on to state, and I won't read it all verbatim, how because of respect to a person, they seek out counsel from many different people, taking away their time, taking away their, just their mind, their counsel, their time, and seeking their wisdom about something, not being satisfied, going from person to person, taking away time from each of them, and then still going forward with not listening or not obeying, and going forward to Mother Carol, who is going to say the same thing, and then listening to her. Jennifer?
You know, it's really interesting how people need to have the validation of many when we only are to have, you know, one counselor. But people seek out validation from many different sources, you know, until they hear the answer that they want, or they hear the answer from the person that they want to hear from. So we just really have to mature in that area.
Very good. This one speaks of those who have come onto the land and exposed everyone here, specifically the children, to their past and the past of their children, exposing the wicked world to the pure ones that live here, and then being judgmental or critical upon the lives of those that are here when they have placed or implanted seeds and exposed things into their minds, as well as allowing different standards to interfere into the children's lives. And let me pause here in this one and say, for example, would it surprise any of you that we would deal with those that were addicted to sex, addicted to pornography, sexual molesters, or been sexually molested, even as children, whatever the case may be, and they need freedom from this, and people need help from this. So when you have this refuge that we have here, which is powerful and mighty, and by any means this is not negative as this comes forth tonight, okay, because I'm going to prove some points. But when you offer that refuge, you get the good, the bad, and the trash. And what can happen, as I said earlier in the show, is that everyone comes loving, but honestly everyone comes in hypocrisy. Because now you can't meet the requirements of love that your own heart even had, because your negativity has eaten you up or swallowed you up. And now you judge and criticize those that live on the land because they don't do things the way that you have done, or the way you see it, or the way you do it. And now they're no longer esteemed in your eyes. So you don't exalt their manner of life or their holiness or all their years of sacrifice, and you're blinded to their righteousness, their mercy, and their compassion because of your lack. So this person, and it's lengthy, just goes on to explain how the exposure to the children on this land can actually have a domino effect for years to come, and how no one considers that their child is the guilty party. Jennifer?
Yes, ma'am. Very good point. You know, when people come to the community, if they're visiting for Shabbat, or if they're coming to the community to live, you know, whatever the case may be, you are literally taking on or helping them fight the spirit that they're dealing with. So whatever their past, you know, whatever their problems are, whatever bondages they've dealt with, and they're still fighting those things, then you literally have to be built up to work against those particular things. And, you know, when you have children, you have to make sure that your children are protected as well. And I remember Pastor saying one time, you know, when you come to our land, don't get offended if we correct or rebuke your children because you haven't raised your children right. And it's so true, because you've placed wickedness in your children, and when they come around, you know, the children on the land, then they're going to be spewing these things into the children who are striving to be righteous, you know? So you really have to take that into consideration. You know, what if you have someone who really is not putting the effort forth to fight spiritually? What if they're spiritually lazy and they, you know, just let their children do whatever, and their children are exposed to your children? I mean, it takes a great level of love. It really does. When you are living communally, or, you know, when you're around the saints, it really takes a great level of love.
It does. And now for mine, drum roll, okay? I'm building up these points, sisters, because if you can say that you have been burned, we the more. And not one time can we or have we been guilty of hardening ourselves against the people of Yah. Not one time have we ever closed the gates, shut the doors, turned off the internet, and said, forget it, because this is how we're being treated. This is the thanks we get for the good works that we're trying to do. Nor would we ever do that. And so if you can say, you have been through this, and this, I understand, but now welcome to the faith, and guess what? You're going to go through this, and this. And there's a lot of love required out of you. That's why you can see us as a people that we are perfected in the state that we're in, purified and getting clean before the Father, because there's so much that goes on here that you will never know if you're just simply passing through or visiting. You will never partake of what we have been through as a people. So here comes mine. All right? Let me give you some examples. We had a lady that traveled here from overseas, and we embraced her with open arms because what? She's traveling from overseas. That's a very, very long way that she traveled, hundreds of thousands of miles, okay? As soon as she got here, she made it a point to religiously teach each of us about her health and her country being so much better than how we cook and how we serve here and how we eat on the land. Okay? Now, mind you, we got butter, we got our own cheese, we got our own eggs, we got our own cabbage, broccoli, corn, Brussels sprouts, potatoes, you name it. We're making all these crops, but you are going to teach us about how your health is so much better in your country than ours, okay? She has one time, twice that she's been here, and I no longer know of her or know her as my sister. The first time that she came here, she stayed in our guest house, and she came for 1 month. That's 4 weeks. When she left after 4 weeks, she had left our guest house so trashed that it was 3 50-gallon trash bags that was filled up by one sister and trying to clean the trash from that place that she left. She demanded an entire shelf from our refrigerator to be hers because she was here for a month. She demanded an entire 3-foot space on our countertops in our kitchen to have her stuff set on for a month when we try to keep our counters as tidy and clean as possible. She was called and contacted after she had left her the place that she stayed in so filthy, and she was admonished for this behavior. She still returned months and months later to stay once again for another 4 to 6 weeks with just as bad, if not worse, conditions the second time. She even left boxes of toys from her son, big plastic train set. Y'all know what those are like, how you have to assemble them. Hats and clothes were under the bed because she had decided to travel to Goodwill. She loved the prices in America, so she bought so much stuff that she couldn't take her stuff back. So she left her stuff here to be bagged up. And when it was time to clean that facility after she had left, a sister here had to call for brothers to actually help move all the heavy furniture to clean underneath because of the trash and the clothes and the paper wrappers and the chip bags and the soda cans and things that she left behind. Okay, let's move on to another situation I remember since being here. There was a man who was a part of another assembly that was traveling here for fellowship. He had been here maybe twice before and had put on a good show. He had asked my husband, "Can I store some stuff under your house, sir, until I return? Can I put some things," he didn't say under the house, forgive me, in the house. We have a little storage place that it actually went into by the house. But he said, "Can you put this in your house?" So, sure, Deacon's heart accepts what he is saying he would like to leave here for a little while. So he backs his vehicle up to the porch, and he continually unloads to the point where there's totes and bags and totes and boxes and things that's like, wow. And then he jets. And he's gone to who knows where or for how long with no really contact information. So the stuff is left in a storage place by our house. We got contacted a year and a half later that it was okay to either dispose of the stuff or to just go through it and see if there was anything valuable that you may want to keep, but just that he would not be back. And obviously he doesn't fellowship with this ministry. So it took me, after breakfast, we eat at 8 o'clock, we eat dinner at 3. It took a large majority of that entire day to go through all this stuff. Now, I could have just thrown it away, but my husband said we'll honor him. Anything valuable, we could try to get it back to him, et cetera, et cetera. So it was a bunch of junk and things. Okay, it wasn't really a lot of valuable anything, honestly. The best thing might have been like a bug-out knife. It was so much trash and stuff that was just old. Anyway, when I went through all these things, I found a couple of notebooks that seemed to be in really good condition. Like, oh, wow, this is paper, right? This is good paper. I can't believe it's held up this long. And so I just opened it up to see if it was paper that had been written on, needed to be trashed, or, if you could just keep it for whatever reason. And do you know that all that was in these notebooks was the usernames and the passwords and the passcodes to get into all of his pornography sites, his findawoman.coms, his rent-a-whore, all this behavior that he had engaged in was right in my hands. I don't know this man. And I'm holding evidence of his lifestyle before me. Disgusting, right? But do we hold anybody to that? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We had a Sister Vicky, years ago. She had shared this story with me. She moves out of her house completely. Okay, to allow 3 guys that we don't know to stay in her place for a week. She stayed at another home on the land. So when she goes back after that week, 1 week, okay, they have broken her recliner completely. It no longer sits up or goes back or relaxes out or any of that. Recliner is broke. Of course, we have wood stoves, right? Wood stoves that you have to open up and throw the wood into. And in so doing, they had caught her the pads to hold the hot handle on the stove, like the heating pads. They caught them on fire. So they were no longer in use. And there was so much piss around her potty seat and around her bathroom area that it was just disgusting. It was untouched. So they came in and trashed her house. But you know what? It's never stopped her from allowing anyone else to come in again. We had a woman with many children that was given an opportunity to stay on our land because she needed the help, and it was just temporary. She had nowhere else to go, but she was and is, claiming to be Israelite. She had been in the faith for a little bit of time. So she had made herself known and made it a point that she needed help. So pastor tells the brothers, hey, we're going to get this place ready for her and her children for this amount of time. So they had to make it very nice for her because in the state that it was in, it would be, if you were very content, you would be very happy there. But he wanted to give her the best. So he replaced the carpet. He replaced the furniture. He replaced the sheets and the pillows and everything, making it very lovely on the inside. And we were very excited to receive her for the amount of time that she was going to stay here, which was 4 to 6 weeks. So we had after she left, the sister that cleans the facility that went in, here's her story. There was a glass top coffee table that has 3 glass panes in it, right? So 3 pieces of glass on this table. The middle pane was completely missing, gone. It was not like broken somewhere in a corner. No, it was never returned. It was never found. The dust ruffle to the full-size extended room was missing. The bed had piss stains from her children, and the mattress was saturated in piss. The new set of sheets that was bought for the full bed had paint and marker on them. The brand new pillows could never be reused for any other home or guest home. The brand new flannel sheets for the king-size bed that was purchased for her home were shredded. The sofa and the chair was ripped and torn. And if you remove the pillows that you would actually sit down in a chair, there had been sticks that were shoved into the cloth, like where the cloth that covers the springs in a sofa and in a chair, that cloth was ripped and sticks were shoved in by the children, I assume. So all that was ripped and torn. There was new carpet, as I told you, put in there, but there were spills and stains on the carpet that would not come out. And the dining room chairs that were purchased for her, which were cloth chairs, had now spills on them that too wouldn't come out. There was a pedestal fan, if y'all know what that is. It's a tall fan to oscillate the air, and a box fan. Both of those were brand new and purchased for her, but both of them were busted. And all her trash was left. The trash wasn't taken out, and there was trash everywhere. It wasn't dusted. It wasn't cleaned. It wasn't vacuumed. Nothing was returned to the state that it was in. And when she was contacted to see where some of the missing items were, it was just I don't get it, I don't know, right? And so she never stayed here again. Jennifer?
You know, Sister Sakina has a question in the chat room, and it says, Sister Ashley, Sister Jennifer, Shalom. Could these behaviors be accredited to entitlement or selfishness? Absolutely. That's absolutely what it is, a sense of entitlement. You know, like someone is entitled to the best only for them to destroy it. And I believe it's truly sad that we expect a lot more out of Straitway. We expect a lot more out of other people than we expect from ourselves. Expect somebody to give us a really nice place to stay only to destroy it. And we don't even have anything in us, the righteousness in us to go and even tell them. You know, when you break something, you don't even have the righteousness to go and tell them that you've broken it, or even to offer to pay for it, to even clean up after yourself. And this is why I say, you know, saying that you need to take care of something like you would as if it were your own, no, that's not good enough. Because the way that these people take care of their own homes, I don't want that. I simply don't want it.
Here's another example of some of the things that we've been through as a people, because when something occurs to one of us, we all feel it. You know, we're a very tight-knit family. So there was an example on 6th Day. You've heard this probably briefly referenced by Pastor, although there's many different instances of people just uprooting and wanting to come and live here and move here. I had another call today in reference to that, but this particular family had packed up everything that they owned from Pennsylvania and traveled here. We had never met them, never heard them. They had never called us, and we didn't know anything about their life, their history, or their past. I remember that she had a daughter, so it was her husband and her and a daughter. Could have been more. That's the one that came in the booty shorts, literally, the shorts up the crack of her ass with a head cover on. And they came with everything they owned in the back of their truck to our driveway, pulled up to our dining hall, and said, "We're here. This is where we want to be. This is where we want to live." On that night, obviously because they have nowhere else to go, they were afforded a small chance to just crash here, get their heads together, and find somewhere else to be, because we cannot receive people under those conditions. So that was 6th Day, that was Friday. And that very next morning, which is Sabbath, the saints come up 1 hour before service, some of them, 1 hour all the way up until service. Anytime between that hour, saints are going to be here to pray and prepare for service. her and her husband and family had stayed with Grandma Barb, who Grandma Barb has never kicked against offering hospitality to innumerable hundreds of people who have come through here. You will not even see it on her countenance, ever. She allows them to come into her house, and they stayed with her that night. That next morning, expecting them to come to service just like any other, family that lives here, they are reportedly seen by a sister on this land who goes into our kitchen down the hill before coming up to service, and she sees the mother going through our cabinets in the kitchen, going through our things in our dining hall, ransacking and rummaging through our stuff, returns the skirt that she was loaned, and then bails. Her husband, her family, they all bail. They don't even come to service. We never even hear of them again. But who are you? Who are you to just show up like that, Jennifer?
I think a lot of people have never really experienced jobs in the world that will humble you. And I've testified of this before. I used to clean rooms for a living. And it truly does humble you because you see the level of entitlement on people. And I understand now that, if I ever stay in a hotel room or wherever I stay, I clean up my mess, and I don't expect someone else to take care of it for me. And you really, truly do have to fight your flesh when you deal with people with that type of mindset. But, I just thank the Father for Straitway for the example that he's given, because I've never once heard these people complain at all. Sister Melissa in the chat room says, bless y'all. Thank y'all for putting up with us, Straitway. So hallelujah.
Hallelujah. And I'm wrapping it up. We're wrapping the show up. So I appreciate y'all hanging in there with us, because these examples need to be put out there. This is a really good response. This sister's heart's very pure, because, and not that every single sister that you've heard from is so mature that they don't allow these things to affect them, period. But they were just simply asking or answering the question that I had given them. This sister says, this is somewhat a challenging question for me, because we forgive and we forget. And a lot of this is done by ignorance, since we all come from different backgrounds and we all have different spiritual maturities. Especially most people have grown up here in America. So we here at Straitway strive to be an Eastern culture. And there are so many ways that are strange here for most people. So she says, when I see the saints humble themselves and despise the shame and overcome any mistakes, I have a lot of respect for that, and I smile in spite of what they have ever done to me, my family, my home, my community, or my land. And she says, please forgive me if I've not answered this question. And when I spoke to her directly, she gave a beautiful example of Junior. Junior is our beloved brother of Georgia. And I would pray that he would even hear this. If not, Jennifer, you can share it with him. But initially, Junior was so excited to find this ministry and find the truth and find Pastor, and he had never been here before. And he called in super excited, and we didn't know who he was at all. Never, I don't even think we'd ever heard his voice, or if we had, it might have been a few times. And he called into a blog talk, and he had told Pastor, this was years ago, something like, I'm coming, I get to stay a month or a month and a half or whatever it was. And Pastor openly rebuked him, like, brother, we don't know you. No, you ain't staying that long. Not without permission, because he had gotten his, bus tickets for this set amount of time, and he just, without knowing how we operated or that he would need to run those dates by someone, he got the dates, got the tickets, super excited, here he comes. And so Pastor shut it down and told him, no, brother, you're staying 2 weeks, that's it, 2 weeks. And so the brother got here with such sincerity and such love and such joy, as if it had never happened. Truly, as if that rebuke had never gone forth, or it was received in so much love that he didn't mind 1 day, 10 hours, 2 weeks. It didn't matter. He was coming to be with the saints, and he has never stopped coming. And she gave that example because we overcome by love. He received love, he received the correction, and he went on, and he overcame. And no one's going to hold it over his head that this is what you did in the beginning. Well, now I've put it out there over the show. You can do that if you want to. But, you know, we all go on to perfection. And so as a people, we get so excited to see someone grow out of a state of mind that you may have come one way or done something even disrespectful. We may fall into the list of the things that some of the sisters have stated tonight on their paper. But we just love to see overcomers because this is Israel. And I think that there has to be a mutual level of respect that we don't receive, because what happens, as I said earlier, and I've repeated over and over tonight, is you see us differently. Over time, you see us as a people differently, and you belittle us, and you can disrespect us, and as close as you think you are to us, all of a sudden you can start to distance yourself from us because you'll start to see what you may call divisions or differences or et cetera, and you can fall prey to the enemy and keep yourself in an exalted state of pride. Sister Jennifer?
You know, we've had our own experiences here as well. Nothing compared to what you all have been through. But, you know, I've seen the saints here put in countless hours, extending their hands to help people who needed help. I've seen my husband extend his hand. You know, spend hours that he could have been using to rest or using to get in his word, you know, hours that were sacrificed for the sake of working to help the souls of people. I've seen our sisters and our brothers, you know, spend countless hours with people in deliverance. I've seen them, you know, our deliverance books. We had a deliverance library, you know, books that Straitway recommended for us. I've seen those things loaned out to people, and they've never been returned. We've never seen these people again. And then only to be, you know, talked about and slandered. And, you know, I've seen even the name of my husband being talked about in ways that were so untrue to people who he spent countless of hours with in counsel, you know, sacrificing countless of hours. I've seen all the saints here sacrifice, picking up and you know, going and driving 2 hours to pack people's houses up, to help them move, you know, without even asking for anything, not expecting anything in return. You know, we've seen our things broken and destroyed. We've had tools that have been mishandled and misused, and things that have been broken, couches that had to be replaced. And so I totally understand it. And then for these people to leave, and then they misrepresent your name in the midst of that. But, you know, like Sister Ashley said, you love like you've never been hurt. So when the next person comes along, I follow the example of Straitway. You know, I don't hold the prior people. I don't hold their record against the people that are coming in.
Very good. And I want to end with this example because we went over our 2 hours already. But there's a story in Mark 12, a parable for us, and it actually speaks of a man of authority that planted a vineyard, and he put a hedge around this vineyard, and this hedge was meaning, you know, protection. So it takes a lot of labor to build a fence, to build a hedge, build a protection around it. So he builds a tower. He puts a lot of effort into this vineyard. Okay? This is his. He's authority over it. It belongs to him. And what happens is he leases it to what the scripture or the word says. He leased it to a husbandman. And we'll just call that husbandman what he is, which is a farmer. And so this farmer has this land. This farmer has this vineyard, and he sends a servant, the man that owns it, the authority. Okay, he sends a servant to glean some fruit. So the servant goes. He goes to glean. He gets caught. Mark 12. He gets caught, and they beat him. Okay, and he goes away without anything. And so then another servant comes, and they kill him. Who does? The farmer. The people that are tending to this vineyard, they kill him, and they cast stones. And they wound him in the head. And they send this one away really shamefully. And so he sends another, the authority, right? The man that has actually planted this vineyard, the possessor of this vineyard, he sends another one. But they kill him. And the more they get sent, they kill some and they beat some, and they kill some and they beat some. And more servants are going to this vineyard, and something's happened to every one of them. So he lastly does what? He sends his son. Now we know the parable is in reflection to the Messiah, but pay attention to me for a moment. Let's do another reflection, because he lastly sends his son, and he says, okay, they'll reverence him. You know, they'll reverence him, so I'm going to send him to the vineyard. But the farmers get together and they say, well, let's kill him. Let's kill him so that the inheritance, this vineyard, this inheritance can be ours. So they took the son and they killed him and they cast him completely out of the vineyard. And the Messiah says, well, what would the authority do? What would the man, right, that planted the vineyard, that put a hedge of protection around it, that built a tower and that leased it out, what would he do? Would he not come and destroy all the farmers? Take it from them and give it to someone else? And I liken this story tonight to us as a vineyard here at Straitway, a people that no matter what may come our way or come to the vineyard, we have to entrust that each believer, each person, each servant that comes to this vineyard is of the Father and sent by the Son, not only to express our manner of love, but to be perfected in it as well. Because we can't kill them, stone them, or, you know, let's say you came for your first time and we held things that everyone has ever done to us. We held it to you. Or let's say because so many people have lived here, that have actually lived here for years and done this, and this. Okay, here comes Sister Carolina, who is not deserving of anything that these people have ever deserved. What if we just held her to that? So being responsible for this vineyard as pastor is, and as the people here are, as farmers over this vineyard, we are treating each person as the Messiah. That's even the word too, right? That when he hungers, you fed him, or when he was thirsty, you gave him water. But the people say, well, when was he ever thirsty and I didn't give you drink? Or when were you ever hungry? I didn't feed you. He says, whatsoever you have done unto the least of these, you've done also unto me. So this is how you continually, where you are, perfect your love. Because as you strive to love your sisters, and I guarantee, I know for a fact that I'm surrounded by women determined to love their sisters. And I'm not worried about those who are not. Because the tares will be bundled up and cast into the fire. But the wheat, we're going to get there. We're going to get there. And I just wanted to give our example of love, because it's all we know. It's all we have. It's the vineyard that's been given to us to exemplify our love for the Father and for the Son. Jennifer, end the show.
Sisters, daughters of Zion, go back and listen to Pastor's words this past Shabbat, and then listen to Elder Rufus's message on brokenness. And remember, Christ said, I call you friends. He said, a brother is born for adversity, but a friend loveth at all times. A friend stick closer than a brother. No greater love than this, that a man lay down his life for his friend. Blessings, daughters of Zion.
And Yahweh Elohim said,
It is not good for the man to be alone. I am going to make a helper for him as his counterpart.
Holy Yahweh Almighty, we're singing, holy